Ever felt frustrated being told PMS, heavy bleeding, and cramping are just normal parts of life? You are not alone. I loathed my monthly cycle for decades. That all changed when I earned 3 health coaching certifications, discovering something incredible. Your period is vital. It is an outward sign of your inner health, and it holds the key to unlocking your full potential. I've been there battling heavy, painful periods, and I turn them into cycles with minimal PMS and cramping. Today, I'm on a mission to share that information with you. Pour a cup of your favorite drink, get comfy, and grab your headphones as we embark on a candid and empowering journey of self-discovery. Together, we'll demystify menstrual cycles, explore cyclical living, delve into natural birth control, and guide parents through those crucial period talks with tweens and teens. It's time to break the taboo around menstruation and embrace the wisdom it holds. I'm your host, Heather Allmendinger, and this is the Embracing Flow podcast. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on Embracing Flow. I'd like to introduce our guest today, an expert at Embracing Flow, Chelsea McLeod. Welcome, Chelsea, to Embracing Flow. How are you?
So good. It's amazing to be here. Thanks, Heather.
I am so happy that you're here. Listeners, Chelsea is joining us. She is a corporate dropout turned hormonal health coach for high-achieving women who feel like they're doing all the right things but not seeing results. As founder of the Healthy Hustle Method, she helps women in their 30s and 40s lose weight, boost energy, and feel incredible again by fixing those root cause imbalances in hormones and gut health. After 13 years leading global brands, including a $60 million e-commerce business, Chelsea left corporate after her own burnout and hormonal crash. Her program since helped hundreds of women, from executives to entrepreneurs, drop that stubborn weight, sleep through the night, clear their skin, heal fatigue, and reverse hormone-driven conditions like PCOS and endometriosis. Clients lose an average of 8 pounds in just 3 weeks, and it keeps just coming off, all without fad diets or endless cardio. Her mission is to show ambitious women they can look and feel amazing without sacrificing their careers, relationships, and or lifestyle. We're going to dive into how you got into that in just a little bit. Before we do, would you be open to sharing a cycle story and about what age you started cycling?
I was 13 years old and it was after lacrosse practice. I had no idea what it was. I didn't know what to expect, but all of a sudden it was there. And, I'm the oldest of 4. I have 3 younger brothers and a dad who all played football and did sports. So coming home to explain that to all the boys was very awkward and mortifying. And I still remember it to this day.
Oh my gosh. I'm sitting here laughing, and I'm sorry I'm not laughing really at you, but I know even when I got mine, and I have my younger brother who had no idea, but my dad finding out, I was just like, oh, my dad knows about this. And it just, yes, I can definitely feel that mortification because I had it too. And I'm sure a lot of the listeners have as well.
Yeah.
Corporate burnout, got into nutrition. How did you decide to go into the hormonal space? And was it because of your health issues and the burnout, or was there something else that was driving you?
I went on a quest to heal my own hormones, right? And that was after decades of dealing with everything from fatigue and energy crashes. I was an athlete and I was always searching for energy in whatever form that would come, whether it was, power bars or coffee or eating more carbohydrates, whatever it was. I was really struggling with energy since I was 10 years old. And I wasn't sleeping normally. I always was so jealous of people who just fell asleep and stay asleep. And it's interesting because it didn't have an impact on my cycle until I was about 18. And that came after a period of extremely high stress from a family situation that really set my hormones back and led to a lot of imbalances like low progesterone and PCOS and just debilitating cramps that I didn't ever have cramps growing up. But when I was in college, I started feeling these, like, it almost felt like my back was breaking. And I didn't understand what it was because I always thought cramps were more like under your belly button, but this was my back. And I thought my back was literally breaking in half. And people were like, no, this is period cramps. And I just remember going through this stuff and everyone else was kind of complaining about the same symptoms. So I figured it was just normal. I figured, everyone else has these same problems. And what I learned later is that this stuff is common, but it's not normal. And there's so many things that women can do, especially if they're busy and driven, that can actually help them not only reverse some of these symptoms, but also help them release weight and feel amazing and have a regular cycle again. And so once I kind of learned that playbook myself to heal my hormones after spinning my wheels for about a decade, I started working with people like my mom who was going through menopause and friends at work who were maybe in the boardroom but were losing their hair or had belly fat. Like there was just all these issues that these women were having. A lot of women couldn't get pregnant. And I started helping women and they were releasing weight and their shedding stopped and they were getting pregnant. And, word kind of spread. And before I knew it, I had a whole bunch of clients signing up to work with me, but I still had a corporate job. So I ended up having to quit my job. But it all started with my own desire to heal myself. And in the process of doing that, being able to hand over a toolkit of what I learned and went back to school for to women who really, really have the desire to heal.
I love that you have that desire to heal because there are so many of us that haven't realized that what we're experiencing is common,
Yeah.
that it's not normal.
Yeah.
What are some things that you have seen or heard from your clients that are common, which is actually outside the normal range? It's our body screaming, we need help.
Oh, goodness. Let me get out my scroll. I mean, I think as women, we're so accustomed to suffering. And we also have a really high tolerance of discomfort. And so for most women, it's gut issues, bloating, constipation, painful cycles, heavy bleeds, missing period, unknown fertility, losing their hair, sugar crashes, or I guess like energy crashes in the afternoon because their blood sugar isn't stable. Feeling, getting a full night's sleep but not feeling rested, waking up at 2 or 3 a.m., just generally feeling tired all the time, or feeling like they have insatiable sugar, like demonic sugar cravings or salt cravings. All of these are so common, especially in the Western world, especially in America, and the one that I think is probably the most common is just weight gain. Despite, maybe they don't have perfect habits because at the end of the day, nobody does, but a lot of these women are gaining weight and they maybe tried different things and it's not really working, or, the result is not matching their level of effort, or they're losing the weight, but they're not able to keep it off because there's an underlying hormonal issue.
That list from your scroll, I love that.
Yeah.
It is very common. I hear that as well. I hear it all the time, and it's not even from my clients. It's from
Yeah.
friends. It's from just standing in line
Mhm.
at the grocery store or being around other women. They have these symptoms.
Mhm.
They go to the doctor, and the doctor, what is the common thing? Oh, that's just part of being a woman.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise. I know otherwise. What are some uncommon things that you've come across that individuals may not realize that it might be a hormonal issue, but it really
So
is?
sometimes digestive issues. So having bloating after meals, even healthy meals, cravings for different foods that, maybe signal a deeper underlying hormonal imbalance or nutrient deficiencies. Another one is anxiety. I think um, there's a lot of things that we are going to doctors to fix when we haven't really healed our hormones first. And so sometimes when we don't look at the root cause of what's causing some of these things, um, we're not really fixing it at the root. And I'm so passionate about helping women see that, their skin issues or their weight issues or their general anxiety levels are all tied to how they're treating themselves and how their hormones are being reflected in their day to day. And so, I always say hormones are messengers. And so, whenever you're having any kind of unsavory symptom, whether it's exhaustion or feeling wired and tired or having wake ups in the middle of the night, like your body is signaling something to you. And so, one of my jobs as a coach, right, is to help women become very aware of these little signals, because most of us are not connected enough to our body to really listen and to know what to look for. And so sometimes one of the biggest parts of my job is helping women understand what a hormonal imbalance looks like by rattling off that list of things that I shared before.
What I have found is when I talk to individuals, just in conversation, it sounds like it could be insulin or estrogen or progesterone or LH or ghrelin or
Yeah.
leptin. And they look at me like I have three heads. How can I make it better? I don't care what is really causing this. How can I make it better?
Yeah.
And we let them know about the foundations, going back to that nutrition, a sleep routine, stress management, not controlling stress, but reducing it, and then the appropriate exercise. I've heard that for those that are in that 35 to 45 age range, cardio is to be decreased with weight training. Is that something that you've seen and heard and has worked for your clients?
Yeah. I think everyone's plan is bio individualized, right? Different body types, ages, but also symptoms kind of indicate what's going to be the best workout for them, right? So for a lot of women, we've been conditioned because, we were born in the 70s, 80s, and 90s to move more and eat less. And we just have to make ourselves smaller and we have to decrease our calories and count our calories and get on the stair stepper for 3 hours or do a spin class. But the reality is, um, a lot of cardio, when your body is in survival mode and when your cortisol, which is a stress hormone, is elevated, you're actually doing yourself a disservice by doing something super high intensity. You'd be much better suited just from a fat burning perspective and, a metabolism and a um, kind of cravings perspective to just calm down, take a walk, and do some of that more steady state cardio that's not going to elevate you. That said, other clients based on their body type, after they've done those first levels of healing, those first initial protocols to de-stress their nervous system, they can tolerate a little bit more exercise. And, if they're premenopausal, we can slot that in strategically around their cycle because there's certain times where you're going to find that more beneficial than others. And so we always, I think a lot of people are looking for a black and white answer on like, should I do the cold plunge? Should I do the cardio? And the answer is, it depends. It depends on your goal, how old you are, and what symptoms you're having. Because, if I have someone who comes to me and she's struggling to lose the weight, she's extremely anxious, she's on the road, she's getting sick every 4 to 6 weeks because her immune system is shot, that girl's not going to be doing cardio. And if she is, it's not going to get the results. So for her, you know, walking and maybe doing some weight training once she's a little bit more stable is going to help that weight come off faster and help those symptoms reverse themselves way more than doing a spin class. And so one of the things I always tell clients is cardio is not required for results. It's just not. I see it time and time again. Most of my clients lose 20 pounds in their first 6 to 8 weeks, and they do that without starving themselves and without doing cardio. They do it by really healing their hormones. And so what I care most about is helping women heal at the root so that they can then look and feel the way they want to. Because once your cycle is in sync, once you're cycling normally and you're feeling like yourself again, the weight piece falls into place with ease.
What are some ways that you have those hormones go back into alignment?
Yeah, so it depends on the hormone and it depends on the symptom, right? So let's say someone is having crazy cravings, they're waking up at 2 or 3 a.m. and they're not digesting food. Their belly just kind of grows as the day goes on. They get more bloated. They kind of look a little bit pregnant after lunch. That's a sign that they have some elevated cortisol levels. And so what we do is we do certain micro habits. We start small, right? And then build on them to allow their cortisol levels to come down. What happens when that happens is their female sex hormones come back into balance, because anytime your cortisol and nervous system is elevated, it's going to rob from your sex hormones. So once those come into balance, the cycle typically will regulate, right? And I see a lot of women where once we start implementing these little lifestyle habits and we change the way they're eating and the timing of their food, the type of exercise, their cycle comes back after it was gone for years. Or, it used to be 50, 60-day cycles and suddenly it's 28 days. And it used to be really, really painful, but now it's more manageable or shorter. And so being able to use your cycle as a almost like a metric, like using it as a almost like a litmus test for your health is really exciting because you get to see that feedback and every cycle, learning how to discern what is my cycle telling me about my health right now and how I'm treating myself can be really powerful.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh my goodness. I love that. Yes, because I know that the more you know about your cycle is an outward sign of inner health.
Yeah, that's right.
I know even now, occasionally I'll eat a meal and beginning of the day, put my bra on, feels great. Comfy, no problem. Midday, I'm like, oh, this thing's sticking to me.
Yeah.
By the end of the day, I'm like, get this sucker off of me.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm in a sausage casing around my rib cage. It's not the cups, it's the band that's holding it on. And when I take it off, I got deep gouges and I'm like, how did that happen?
Yeah.
Why did this happen?
Yeah.
What is going on with me? And hearing from you, it could be that there's some cortisol issues going on.
Yeah. And I always say, the name of my podcast is It's Not You, It's Your Hormones. And I think so many women get stuck running in circles and being completely stuck because they don't realize that their hormones are actually causing the problem in the first place. And so when they go for traditional routes, like going to get a medication or seeing a doctor or, um, doing more exercise or counting calories, it's like if your hormones aren't balanced going into that, it's going to be so much harder. It's going to be like pushing a boulder up a hill. And so that's why I always say the order of operations really matters. When you strap up what you're doing with hormone balancing protocols, they become so much more powerful. And that's why results, I mean, the clients I work with they're astounded by the results because they've been spinning their wheels for years and suddenly they're losing 10 pounds in their first 2 weeks and they're like, whoa, I didn't know this was possible. And women are getting pregnant and their cycle is starting to balance out. And so like this is what's possible. And I just want to cast the vision for any woman who is feeling stuck or who is having symptoms. It's like your body is so powerful and it can heal when it has the right tools.
Yeah, it definitely can. What you shared about the gut issue, is there another common complaint that you get coming in the door that you listen to them and you're like, okay, it's let's start with the basic of this versus the cortisol. It's not necessarily cortisol that's there. It's another one of the hormones, the big hormones that is wreaking a little havoc, that has decided to become the dominant hormone and taking over the body.
The two main ones that I see are obviously I see a lot of thyroid issues. So sometimes it's a lot of underactive thyroid. So elevated TSH levels and that typically signals to me that there's just a systemic imbalance of the body. And with thyroid issues what I see all the time is there's always an emotional contributor. It's a lot of women who have trouble speaking their truth. They have trouble taking care of themselves. They don't prioritize their own needs and put others before themselves. So for them, it's like obviously they need to do the nutritional protocols and kind of the hormonal protocols, but there's also an emotional piece to this too, as well, right? And I see the same thing with estrogen. I see estrogen dominance where estrogen can be out of proportion with progesterone, and that can lead to kind of puffiness and breast tenderness. And so that's a very common one I see. I also see a lot of low estrogen, and that's oftentimes with very type A women or women in their late 30s, early 40s who think they're just going through menopause early, but that's not really the case. They have a hormonal imbalance that is presenting as menopause, but a lot of them are able to reverse those symptoms. Another one I see is elevated testosterone levels as well. And so I see that often in women who, a lot of them have trauma, a lot of them have chronic stress, a lot of them have been through something really difficult. And when testosterone is elevated, they're not able to regulate their metabolism properly. So there's a lot of weight issues. Sometimes they have facial hair or acne, or hair loss. And so sometimes it's one or a collection of those issues that we get to focus on first.
You mentioned that testosterone and the hair in different places. I know also PCOS, those that are going through PCOS or have been diagnosed with PCOS or haven't yet, but are wondering, why do I have a beard?
Yeah.
Um, It so that is more of a testosterone trait, I guess, or a symptom of higher testosterone?
Yeah. Yeah, so the hair loss as well as the facial hair is a pretty classic PCOS sign, but, hair loss isn't just a PCOS thing, right? That's not just necessarily elevated testosterone. That can also be cortisol related. It could be mineral imbalances. It could be chronic stress. So with all these women, we really have to do the testing that helps us see what the actual root cause is. Because oftentimes behind a hormonal issue is a deeper issue. The nervous system's overactive. They're in chronic fight or flight. Maybe there's a toxicity in the gut, like an overgrowth of yeast or bacteria that's causing the hormonal imbalance in the first place. So there's always a root cause for hormonal imbalances, whether it's nutritional deficiencies, chronic stress, inputs not matching outputs. Um, Toxicity. Sometimes we have stored toxins sitting in the body. So there's all these different things that we get to look at to really peel back the onion of hormonal imbalance so that we can address it at the root instead of just getting on a new birth control.
When a woman would like to go and get testing, are there specific tests that they are to request? Or is it just going to an OBGYN and saying, "Hey, I'm not feeling right?" Usually, from what I've heard, is when women go in and say, "Doc, I'm not feeling right," to their OBGYN. OBGYN's like, "Okay, well, what medication do you want to go on?" And, "Oh, we don't do testing for that."
Hmm.
For these women who really want to advocate for themselves, is there a testing protocol or are there standard tests that can be run to help them get a picture of what might be going on, so that way they can come and see you or they can work with somebody if they don't like the answer they get from their OBGYN.
So let's quickly break down the difference between, standard blood tests that a doctor would run and a functional medicine test, which is the type of test that I use with clients. So we have to remember doctors are there to save our lives. They're there to solve acute issues in isolation with the specific part of the body you're having a problem with. And so the problem with that, and that's great that it keeps us alive. It can solve serious issues. Whenever we have an issue, we always want to rule out any deeper life threatening conditions, right? So that's when it's best to go to the doctor, to go to the GP, to go to the PCP and say, hey, I want to run my standard labs. I want to make sure there's nothing going on here. I want the mammogram. I want the cervical screen. Let's do all the things. And also things like, if you're having a very serious pelvic pain and serious gastrointestinal issues. We want to rule out things like polyps and fissures and, see if there's cysts on the ovaries and do all that internal stuff to keep us alive, right? Rule out cancer and disease. We have to remember that doctors are looking for disease and functional practitioners are here to help you look and feel the way you want to. And I say my job, I'm not looking to diagnose disease. That's not what I do. That's not what I specialize in. But I can't tell you how many women go to the doctor because they're having troubles with their weight or trouble getting pregnant or trouble um, sleeping at night. And they're sent away with a prescription or told to eat less and exercise more or to get on GLP-1 and they're not satisfied with that answer. And so that's typically the women I will see because they're told that their labs are normal. I've read hundreds and hundreds of lab tests now, and I can tell you that most of those women were told by a doctor that everything's normal. When I look at them, I see imbalances all over the place. I'm like, oh, well, that's why you're having trouble releasing weight. That's why your hair's falling out. That's why you're having cravings. Like I can see it all. And so we have to remember we have to hire the right man for the job, right? And I don't say that to make women, feel a certain way about it, but it's like we're just going to the wrong people to solve certain problems. And so if your job is to or if your goal is to release hormonal weight and lessen hormonal symptoms, generally that's not going to help you. So rule it out with blood tests 100% just to rule out disease. But then if you actually want results, go work with a practitioner who has proven results, getting the results that you want.
So, in essence, you have an issue with your car, you're not gonna call a plumber.
Yeah,
You're gonna call a mechanic
that's right.
because the plumber, they may understand the gaskets of the car or
Mhm.
the vehicle, but they don't understand the ins and outs.
That's right.
I love that.
Yeah.
Just thinking about that and knowing that, yes, there's a beautiful place for doctors. There's also a place that there's a reason why functional medicine doctors go to school longer than traditional doctors.
Mm,
They go through the regular medical practice degree, and then they go for what is it, like 4 or 6 more years for
mhm,
functional medicine.
mhm.
So, because they look at a deeper view, they look at those root causes, not just at what medications can be used to help reduce those symptoms.
Yeah, that's right.
What is your goal when you have clients walk through the door or are sitting there and you hear them say that they're miserable, they don't like who they are right now, they don't like how they look? What do you want their outlook to be? How do you want to change that?
For these women, it's my job as a coach who's worked with hundreds of women to help them release hormonal weight, change the way they feel and look fast. It's my job to cast that vision for them because most people accept that they just think when they have a baby, that's just how they look and feel now. When they hit their 40s and 50s and the energy starts to decrease and the libido goes down and belly fat starts to come on, that's just normal because everyone else has it. And I'm just getting older, quote unquote, is something that I hear all the time. And that's just not the case. I can't tell you how many women I've worked with who are lower than their baby weight or lower than their pre-baby weight. They're lower than their college weight. She went through menopause and she gained 17 pounds of hormonal weight just around her middle. And she was like, well, that's just menopause. And then she did the protocols and she lost 17 pounds in 3 months, kept it off, and became the person who can maintain those results. And she's lower than her college weight. And so it's just women, when they understand what results are possible for them and they're activated in that way, it creates this desire where they're like, oh, wait, there's hope for me, even though my doctor told me this. And so told me I had to get on a GLP or there's no hope, or someone else told me, oh, it's just perimenopause. And I'm here to say that that is not the case. And I see it over and over and over of clients who are just delighted that their eczema suddenly went away, or their libido is back online, or they're sleeping through the night after struggling with sleeping issues for a decade. It's like these are very solvable problems. The female body was meant to feel alive. You were meant to wake up with real energy. You're meant to have a libido that is actually there. You're meant to have a sex drive. You're meant to have a regular cycle. You're not meant to be in pain or be miserable or have like huge swings in energy or mood. You're meant to really feel this vitality and this energy and to be in a body that you feel comfortable in. And so, is this about a number on a scale? No, this is about restoring power to the female body. And there are just so many sick women out there, Heather, who don't realize they're sick. They think these symptoms are just normal and they're suffering through it. So I'm here to tell women, like, there is hope for you. And if you feel stuck, you're not stuck. There are always options.
I Knowing that we aren't stuck. I know my second child was born when I was in my late 30s. I still hold on to the baby weight from my first child when I was all but 30. I gained 40 pounds. I haven't lost it. The only
Mm,
time I came close to it was when I lost my husband.
hmm
But then I started eating again.
hmm
I know that there is a way for me to lose, not necessarily lose the weight, to be in better health. That's, I think, the goal for a lot of those that they say, oh, I want to lose the weight. Is it really that they want to lose the weight? Or is it that they just want to feel better,
Yeah.
but they don't know how? And then they've got all this stuff thrown at them, this supplement, that supplement, GLP-1s, this diet, the carnivore, keto, Mediterranean. I don't know about you, but my head's spinning from all the different options. And you talk to somebody who's done keto, they lost a lot of weight, then they lost their hair.
Yeah.
You, you talk to another one, then they gained all the weight back. Talk to another one that did GLP-1s, lost a lot of weight, but then had the sunken cheeks.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I really don't want to look like death warmed over.
Yeah.
Another one that's tried to go vegan,
Yeah.
vegetarian vegan, lost the weight. They're feeling great. You look at them and they have no color to their cheeks. They kind of look sick.
Yeah.
And you sit and you're like, I don't want any of this.
Yeah.
I just want to be a slightly smaller version of me
Mhm.
and a healthy version so I can spend my golden years, my wise wisdom years post menopause in health and to watch my family grow. I think that's kind of where we are at.
Yeah, I think it's a good point you've brought up where so many women have tried these different diets and are like, "Oh, well, just try this. I've had amazing results with this." And what I want to say about that is different things work for different people, which is why the approach has to be personalized for you because what works for your friend might not work for you. And there's things we have to like her hormones are not the same as your hormones and her body type is not the same as your body type. And so to just women are just swinging blindly instead of seeing the value of investing in advice from an expert. It's like we'll hire the plumber to fix our pipes. Like we're not doing DIY pipe work, you know? It's like we're trying to solve this problem, but instead of investing in it and instead of investing in an expert who has proven results of helping hundreds of women achieve this result, we're scrolling through Instagram and saving reels and using ChatGPT and listening to random podcasts and writing notes in our notes section of things we should try. And it's just, why not just skip the line and find something that works? And, for me, I don't use a specific diet with my clients. We bio individualize it to their lab tests, to their food sensitivities, to their hormones. Like it's all customized to their situation. And so that's why like women who seriously want results, like stop messing around and go do something that actually has proven results. And I think there's this, weight loss is $1 billion industry, right? Like there's so many people who have so much money to make off of these women. So it's very predatory and they prey on pain points and they prey on women who feel vulnerable after having a child and women who have been through trauma because we know that, as someone who lost a husband, like, what it's like to go through loss. And I actually did a podcast on this about, you know, your hormones and weight when you go through a period of grief, like that has an impact on your hormones. So we have to look at all of these things in totality to really support a woman through these transitions because otherwise she's just going to get marketed to by all these companies that tell her to buy this fad supplement that makes her poop her pants and then inject this thing that's going to shut down your appetite here until you get sick and then come off of it and then you gain all the weight back. It's like, let's just fix the root cause problem here. Let's skip the fad diets and restore power to the female body by a foundational healthy habits that are tailored to her lifestyle and her needs and her body type. Let's get them eating the right foods for their hormones. Let's get them, this isn't about following keto. That's one of the worst things a woman could do if she's having hormonal issues. Like, there's elements of all these diets that we can incorporate into these protocols. But at the end of the day, like, it's not about following a diet or a structure or Weight Watchers or Jenny Craig. It's about you and finding something that works for you. And that's why the wisdom of a coach or a professional is just incredibly, incredibly powerful.
And I know we could sit and record a completely different podcast on all these different options and how it impacts those hormones. I hear a woman, she's like, I want to do keto. I was like, okay, please do dirty keto. And they look at me like, well, why? Women need fat. Women need those carbohydrates. Our hormones need those carbohydrates. Our brain needs those carbohydrates. I'm not saying go out and eat the donut.
Yeah.
But you do the good carbs, do those green leafy vegetables, do the brightly colored vegetables, not necessarily the starchy ones, but the high fiber ones, because that's carbohydrates.
Yeah.
We need those.
Yeah.
Or the hair is going to fall out and it's going to wreak havoc and cause more issues than what we ever thought possible. Yeah, you might lose weight. You probably will. I know a lot of that have. But what other issues are going to come up when you ignore your health? Because that's in a way what you're doing. You're ignoring the hormones.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, women need carbohydrates to make progesterone. And so that's why so many women, when they go on keto, it affects their cycle or they lose all the weight and then gain it back. Because the body, we're not meant to be cutting out full food groups. That's not how this works, you know? Like humans are not carnivores. They're not just meant to be eating fat. They're meant to be eating fat, carbohydrate, and protein. And so we just get to be strategic about when we're having the carbohydrates and what kind of carbohydrates we're having. But keto, you know, while it can be super, super powerful for someone who's trying to starve, trying to starve cancer or to achieve a very specific short-term objective, like reverse 2-type diabetes that's life-threatening, it can be really powerful for that. But as a long-term solution, it's not the one, especially for women.
Yep. I agree.
And I see women release weight all the time without having to do keto. So I know for a fact that it's possible.
I'm very happy that you said that very last part, that you've seen women lose the weight without doing it. Because there are other options, healthier options.
Yeah.
Where can individuals find more about what you do, how you do it?
You can find it at my podcast, which is called It's Not You, It's Your Hormones on Apple or Spotify. I give a lot of free information out on my Instagram, which is at Healthy with Chelsea on Instagram and TikTok. And I also have a free ebook on my Instagram called The Busy Girl Guide to Hormonal Weight Loss. So for those women who want that first step of where to start, of just little micro habits that you can add to a busy lifestyle, that's a really amazing free resource for women. And for those who are really ready for results, and maybe hearing this conversation activated a desire within you, you know, I have a 6-month hormone healing program that's designed to deliver rapid results. The results are just outstanding, and it's a group program really designed to support women in achieving their goals quickly and keeping it off.
Before we go, do you have any wise words of wisdom to take with us?
Learning how to balance your hormones and take care of yourself is the number one skill set you can learn as a woman in 2025. If you're a mom, this skill set is non-negotiable for you. You know, modeling health, taking care of yourself, how to feed yourself in a way that helps you look and feel the way you want to is one of the most invaluable things that you can teach to your children. It's one of the most valuable gifts you can give to your team at work if you're in the workforce, to your business if you have a business. Every day I see the impact of this work on women's lives, because when a woman is in her fullest energetic expression, the world changes. And so I'm very interested in helping women expand their impact by healing their hormones. And that doesn't mean that the number on the scale is what matters, right? It's about, that's a benefit. It's a side effect of it. But at the end of the day, these women are transforming and becoming different people. And so I'm just excited to see the future of women change when they're able to get healthy and take care of themselves.
Thank you, Chelsea, so much for taking us on this enlightening journey into hormones, because they run the show. They really, truly do. They run our body. It's how our body functions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So all the links that were mentioned can be found in the show notes. Thank you, listeners, for spending your time with us today. If you found a nugget of wisdom or a moment of empowerment, our mission is accomplished. Do you know someone who could benefit from embracing flow? Please share this episode with them. In every phase, embrace it, love it, crown it, and be Vivydus. Talk to you soon. Thank you so much for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please follow the show, submit a rating and review, and share it with your friends. Visit my website, embracingflowpodcast.com, to receive your free guide on 4 ways to decrease PMS. The link is in the show notes. Information shared on the Embracing Flow podcast is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute medical advice. Until next time, love hard, laugh often, and always be Vivydus.